move to Nashville, become a successful producer and engineer overnight. It's simple, right? Well, I don't know about all that, but here are 5 things I've learned in my first year as an independent engineer and producer in Nashville. Chogma Sohoshifo DShack, and like I just said, I'm an independent engineer and producer, and I've been working completely independently as an entrepreneur for just over a year, almost a year and a half. And let me tell you, it's not all roses and butterflies, but it's also not all ramen noodles and hot dogs, although I do like me some ramen noodles. But enough about that. I want to share with you 5 things that I've learned this year doing this. This is actually a part 2 video. So the first part of the video you can find down in the description and in the comments where I'll link it. But if you watch the other one, just ignore that I'm wearing the same shirt. I filmed these on the same day. Number 1, when you first start working independently, you're going to want to start taking every single gig that comes your way. But the thing that you will not hear anyone else really talk about is you don't have to take every gig. Know who you are. Figure out who you are inside. Figure out the things that you want to do, your goals, but also figure out your moral standing, your boundaries, the things that you like and don't like, and how that can help align and shape your goal and the path that you're going to go down. Not every gig is going to be for you. For instance, I don't really want to be in the bar scene. I don't drink. I don't really care about working with a bunch of drunk people like in Broadway. So I don't take those gigs. Those gigs are not for me. But there's hundreds of other engineers that those gigs are for. So learn the things that are boundaries for you and what you don't want to do. And if you don't want to do it later on, then, well, consider not doing it now. But also in line with that, there's going to be times where a gig is just not the right fit for you in your abilities. And it's okay to say no. For instance, I'm an engineer and a producer, and I do video work as well. However, I am not a Hollywood video guy. So if you're looking for really, really high tier video content, like really like top of the line stuff, I might not be the guy for that. However, if you're looking for podcast and interview stuff or some social media work, that's something I can do. I know where my skills are, and I know that I want to improve those things, of course. However, if I'm offered a gig up here and it's way outside of my realm, then it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, I don't know how to do that. It's okay to say, that gig's not for me, but I do know someone who can help you. Your references are going to be huge. If you are willing to turn down a gig but still recommend someone else and that other person does well, they will come back to you for more work in the future of things you can do. And total side note, a lot of those people that you recommend will in turn also recommend you for work. And then suddenly you're funneling work from another source as well. So work every gig you can, but also know that it is okay to say no. Number 2, don't take things personally. There's going to be times when there's high stress and you're working really, really hard, you're working with other people, and they're going to say something or they're going to do something, and it's going to make you feel like you don't know what you're doing. It's going to make you feel like they're personally attacking you for some reason, when in reality, they're just as stressed as you are. So when you find yourself in that position, try to shake off the things that you hear, especially if it's a high stress situation. If you're out on the road or you're working, a live gig somewhere, and everything is just not working right, it's going to feel like everything's your fault. Well, maybe there's some truth to it depending on the situation. Maybe you've done something that you could have done better, but know that most likely, even if they're thinking something negatively about you, it's not going to last, and it's not something that you should take personally. It's just a problem that both of you are encountering at the same time, and it's something that can be fixed, and it's something that you can push forward to, or at the very least, you'll know more for next time. So much of who we think we are is wrapped up in our ego and our thought process of, are we good or are we not? Or at least maybe that is for me. I go to some of these gigs and early on, I was so stressed. I was like, oh man, I'm not doing very good. I must be bad. I must be bad at what I do. Oh, now people don't like me is what got in my head because I'm bad at what I do. You get these thoughts that start to spiral, and in reality, probably none of that's the case. People probably like you more than you think they do, and they probably think you're better than you think that you do. So all that to say, don't let your ego be a thing that drops your self-esteem so far down that you can't work at the high level that you need to and should and can. Also vice versa, don't let your ego become so inflated that you're not working at the level that you know you can and should be as well. But try not to take things personally. Which leads us right to number 3, which is kind of similar, and that is you're going to get hired for who you are way more than what you can do. Now, when I first moved to town, I had some mentors and some teachers that drilled into my head this one concept, and that is more than knowing how to turn knobs and push faders and play with EQ and play with dynamics, more than all of that, you have to learn how to be a good hang. You see, in Nashville and maybe some other places too, there's this concept of a good hang. This idea is, are you good to hang out with or not? Can somebody spend 8, 12, 16 hours with you, in a studio or on a gig or riding a bus and still not hate your guts? If most people still find you enjoyable to be around after all of that, after all that work, after all the emotions that are pulled out naturally with music, that is what people want in a creative environment. The music industry, as white collar as it is some days with record labels and everything like that, is still a creative industry. People want to enjoy their time and they want to express their emotions through music. So one thing that I learned very early on is I get hired more for the vibe that I bring to a session or a gig than I do the actual technical abilities. Now, that's not to diminish technical abilities. You still have to know what you're doing. You still have to know your stuff. The thing that's going to get you hired and the thing that's going to get you hired again is, did people have fun working with you? Did people enjoy being around you? These are super simple things, but being a good hang is so important. And it is something you can cultivate. Your personal characteristics inside of you are maybe more difficult to change than some other aspects, but if you want to be hired more, work on who you are inside. I know that sounds cliche, but work on who you are inside and find the things that you're really good at and keep working those and make those a highlight of your personality, and find the things that maybe are not so appetizing to the general public and find a way to change that, shift that, or just kind of leave that at home when you go to work. You don't have to be a yes man. You don't have to be some agreeable slob that does everything everybody wants. By no means am I advocating for that, but what I am advocating for is find a way to have fun with the people you're around and make sure that they have fun with you in return. That will get you more work than anything else. So number 4, once again, following off the previous one, is the idea of you are going to find some people that have a fake persona and have fake success. Yes, I know this is a trope in so many stories and movies, but it is also true. Don't be fooled by people who start talking a giant game about this and that and the other and start throwing around all these different names when in reality they're no better than you are and are probably not as good as you are. If you're starting out in the music industry and someone else is trying to convince you of how good they are, chances are really good they don't have the experience to back that up. Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying to convince you. People who have true experience are a lot more confident and casual with the things that they do. For instance, when you first come to town, when you first move to Nashville, you might be starstruck by hearing all these different people that people have worked with, and that's really cool. And there's nothing wrong with sharing the people that you've worked with and sharing the names of like, oh, I worked on that and I worked on that. But there's a lot of people that use it in such a way as to try to manipulate other people into thinking, I'm successful. I'm really good. You should hire me. But in reality, they struggle with getting past certain blocks in their own mind and maybe their lack of certain abilities. Or even worse, there are some people who will backstab you in business by throwing out such names and kind of preying on people who are naive and new to the area and don't realize this yet. Here in Nashville, in the music industry, pretty much everybody has at least one connection. Well, a lot of people have a lot more with someone who is famous. And that no longer becomes a brag, it just becomes part of the reality of working in the same field as those people. So don't be fooled by someone who presents a false front or a fake success, and be very, very careful when you encounter those people because you'll end up with some bad deals and then you'll get burned in the process. And lastly, number 5, to jump to a totally different topic, something of more personal interest, is know that there is more to life than your career. This is something I personally struggle with a lot. I'm the type who works seemingly every single day for hours and hours and hours on end and leaves my social life or my personal life behind, and that's not good and it's not healthy. Be conscious about how much time you devote to your work versus how much you devote to yourself and being a human being. Go out, enjoy some time with your friends, get some food, go play some sports, some basketball, golf, pickleball, I don't care. Go do something, enjoy your time there. Go for a hike, spend time by yourself. Read, watch a show, enjoy entertainment, learn new skills. Don't forget, have hobbies. A lot of people, they get so focused in on music because music was their hobby to begin with, that once it becomes a career, they no longer have a hobby. You have no escape. How can you escape from something that was your escape? You can't. Not by using that anyway. You have to find a new escape. You have to find something else you can pour yourself into. So remember that there's so much to life. And music is a big part of it. Your job, your career is a big part of it. But don't get so caught up and wrapped up in that it is your entire identity. Remember that you are still a person, you're a human being, and you are who you are outside of just what you do. Remember that and act on that, and you'll have a much happier life, and you won't get so dragged into the grind of I've got to work 25/8 every single day, like is a prominent problem and thought process perspective in Nashville. Learn how to spend time with yourself, set healthy boundaries, and be a human being. Maybe one of these 5 things is something that you find so important to yourself. Or maybe there's something that I didn't even bring up that you think is really vital to people when they move to Nashville and do this thing. Either way, let me know down in the comments. These are conversations that I want to have and I think are really good for everybody who works in an industry like this. So drop a comment below. If you don't already, like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And until next time, Chipisalacho.